Good morning, Joanna.
Good morning, Mr. Marston.
It's January 11th, and I have a feeling that you thought that there's always sunny in Florida.
Yes, that's what I was hoping for, coming back from cold Connecticut.
So it's not sunny in Florida, believe it or not. And it's you see Joanna sitting outside in a sweatshirt. It's not too bad. I think it's 60 degrees now. It's just I don't know. It's just this kind of rainy, um, cloudy weather.
Yeah, it's
But
it's a
we're
better
not.
change than
But
on
we're
19.
but we're not here to talk about weather. We're here to talk about intermittent fasting. If you missed previous episodes, maybe it's beginning of the year. Everybody's going nuts about losing weight and doing intermittent fasting and other methods. And we are here, Marston and Joanna. If you're viewing this for the first time, and we talk about our story, our journey. We have lost 110 pounds together combined, and we're heading for another 100. And we are basically sharing what works for us, and maybe you'll find the information useful. If you do, if you're watching this anywhere on any platform, give us a like or leave us some comments. We would greatly appreciate it. It helps us sort of massage the content and make it better, because this way we know what kind of works for you. What else? What are the questions? So it's always super helpful. We actually our episodes typically are used to be between like 45 minutes to hour and 10. Now we're gonna try to dial it down, make it more digestible. So we're gonna go straight for the value. If you're used to us kind of like giving you an update from the week, or jumping into numbers, like we're skipping all of this. We're going straight into like what can you use just because it's January, just because people are looking for information. We're going to be providing value first, right? So what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the importance of hydration, but hydration with electrolytes. Why we want to use electrolytes, what we use for electrolytes, when we want to use them,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
So if you missed the previous episode, I think we're on episode 23. If you look at episode 22, we actually started to talk about hydration. A lot of times when people lose weight, we always get this advice of like, drink more water. You got to be hydrated, got to be hydrated. But what we miss is what we didn't understand when we started our journey was that hydration is just not water. Hydration is water plus electrolytes. It's super, super important. Do you want to explain just like why is it? Because in the back of my head I have like keto flu. Do you want to say why? Do you want to tap into it?
Well, I think we're going to go into that a little bit deeper, but
Okay.
I do. Let's start with why do you want to use electrolytes in your water? It's all about keeping a balance in your body. Water tends to sometimes dilute the perfect balance of cells in your body, especially if you're fasting and you're not getting the nutrients you need from food. So you will see different types of symptoms. Part of them is the key flu. I'm sorry, keto flu that Marcin just mentioned. We'll go into symptoms of that. But 90% of issues that you may be feeling while fasting is related to hydration and electrolytes. So it's a quick cure. It's the fastest cure to try doing when you're feeling off or just completely not feeling right. But if you are feeling good, as the saying goes, don't break it. Don't break something that doesn't need to be fixing. And I messed that up. I always do.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. I'm not good at with jokes either, you guys. So, so yes. So that's one thing. If you're feeling good, then you don't need to. But if you're feeling a little bit off while fasting, or need that extra boost, or you're working out hard, you definitely want to add electrolytes. What are the key electrolytes? I
Before
think
we
that's
get
it.
there, before
Okay.
so before we get there, because I always try to simplify. I have a very simple brain. Um, so first of all, when we talk about electrolytes, there's maybe plenty of people that are already using electrolytes. I know a lot of people are using supplements when they you may not even be aware. You may be using a supplement for, that somebody recommended for as you're fasting or as you're dieting. Like look into look at the label on the back. We bet that it probably has like the main electrolytes, which Joanna is about to tap into. And really the conversation today is about, are you aware of electrolytes? Are you using electrolytes intentionally or unintentionally? Which electrolytes you're using and how much of those electrolytes you're using. She said about keto flu. There's this saying that it's not problems with our dog going nuts. Let's pause for 1 second. So we needed to pause for a second. And what I was saying is the keto flu that you mentioned already. A lot of times when people try to go low carb or ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting, there's this common thing about this ketogenic flu, and it has a bunch of symptoms which we're going to cover in a little bit. But it's basically it's called flu for a reason, because it feels like a flu.
Yeah.
And a lot of the symptoms that are going to come out of it are 90% of those problems come from not having enough of electrolytes. So if you're not familiar, if you don't even like the term, it took me a while to get used to like just the name electrolytes, but it's basically, I think of it more like nutrients, like vitamins, right? So it's like you have to have those minerals in your body for your body to perform better. Typically it comes from food, but if the food is not there because now we're eating less, you got to sort of supplement. You got to look into those things. And 90% of those problems, 90% of the problems that exist can be cured by them. And the analogy that we have heard before was it's almost like rebooting your computer. It'll fix 90% of the problems. So now back to your list. You wanted to mention the core electrolytes?
Yeah, just quickly. So your core electrolytes are sodium, which is your salt, potassium, and magnesium. Okay. I do want to just briefly say why it's so important. So it's all about the balance of water inside your cell and outside your cell, right? And we want to optimize the cell function, of course, because that has to do with everything: how you feel, how you're losing weight, how you're changing to burning fat instead of just the fat in your body instead of just food. um, Good cell function will help with everything. So one thing that we do, like Marcin said, we're during our fasting or any exercising or any diet that we have, we tend to go drink your water, drink your water, and drink your water. Of course, we need to drink a lot of water. The problem is if you just keep drinking plain water and you're fasting, so you're not eating, you're not taking anything in, you are diluting those electrolytes. The electrolytes, what they do, our salts, our sodium, keeps the balance of water on the outside of the cell. The potassium and the magnesium keep the balance of water inside the cell to make sure that everything is balanced in and out. When you are fasting and you're drinking lots of water, you're diluting these electrolytes, and at the same time you are burning whatever you have in your body stored, and you're not replenishing any reserves that you're constantly taking from not eating. So the purpose of this is to keep the balance. You put in the electrolytes into your water, especially when you're fasting for 24, 36, 72 hours, to replenish this. So you're not completely grabbing everything from the reserves, because you're going to feel off, completely off, because your cells are not balanced. Everything in our body is a balance, just like everything around us is a balance of things. Some of the things that do you want to go over the symptoms,
Yeah,
Martin?
I'll go over the symptoms. And I had one of the weirdest thoughts ever. I remember first time I heard the term electrolyte was when you were having our first kid, baby. I remember the doctors stressing the idea of electrolytes. That's when I first, I think, heard the
Mhm.
term. When they were saying like, oh, when baby eats something and like, there's side effect, maybe like diarrhea, and they lose a lot of water. I remember they actually pointed at like it was like a bottle or something
Pedialyte.
had
Yeah, at
had
that
to
time we would give
that we had
kids
to pick
kids
up,
Pedialyte. Yeah, yeah.
and what was it?
Pedialyte.
Pedialyte, yeah,
Yeah,
but it's the same concept, right? So it's like when you have a diarrhea, when you vomit, when you lose water in general, you're gonna need to supplement your body with electrolytes. That's all you're doing. You're putting those minerals back into your body, right?
yeah.
So what happens when you're running low on your electrolytes? So now let's say you're fasting, you're extending your windows more and more and more. Typically, you get minerals from food. That's given you're eating the right foods, and that's how you get into your body. If you're deficient in electrolytes, you may deal with number of things. So on my list, I had headache. That's a pretty common for a lot of people. Fatigue, you're just a lot slower. You have a little aches here and there. Brain fog, it
Mhm.
may seem like you're kind of forgetting things. It's just your cognitive ability is just not as crisp. So brain fog is a big deal for a lot of people. I know you've been complaining about muscle cramps,
Yes, muscle.
or for me, it's weakness. For you, it's muscle cramps, but it's the same thing. It's related to muscle. Um, so that's another one. Obviously, hunger, because your
Yeah,
body then craves. You know, if you're depleted with electrolytes, your body will be like, "Hey, where are the minerals? Where are the vitamins that are essential?" So you're going to be more hungry. Mood issues. So you're going to be all over the place, kind of being bipolar, because you're going to be happy and upset the next day. It will affect your sleeping, which is like a big deal, more of a big deal for you than for me. But I feel the difference when I don't pay attention to electrolytes. If I do extend my windows, I sometimes wake up a lot, like during the night. For some people, it's constipation.
hmm.
So pooping is a problem because your motor functions in your intestines is a little different. Irregular and fast heartbeat. I This one is a big deal for me. I know when I went, like we did 72 hours one time. When I got into day 3, I felt kind of weird because it was this heartbeat sort of different than normal, which kind of freaks you out a little bit when you experience it for the first time. But it's again electrolytes. You got to make sure that you're on top of your minerals so that you function properly. Obviously, elevated blood pressure. Not everybody's affected by it, but some people will feel it. And then just sort of like feeling off. I mean, we all have off days and sort of lousy, lazy days. But you're gonna feel that way. So that's the list. So we've
Yeah.
covered kind of the high level, or we've zoomed out. You mentioned the main electrolytes that we need.
Mhm.
I kind of covered the symptoms. This is what people call the keto flu, but it's really just your body needing those minerals. Um, do we want to talk? What's the next step? Do we want to talk about dosage? Do you want me to tap into some numbers?
Yeah, I think because we covered like why do we need it, why your body needs it,
Yep.
and I think now it's the dosages more or less.
Sometimes I feel like coffee is an electrolyte.
Mhm. But the dosages that we're giving you, they are just an example. The best way to do it is try it out yourself.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some numbers. And here's the thing: when I heard about the dosage, I hate counting calories. I hate monitoring my milligrams for the electrolytes and whatever. But then I always try to translate it into something that my brain can consume and sort of not reject it on a daily basis. So what we're going to try to do is take an electrolyte, tell you some numbers, and treat those numbers as like a starting point. For some of you, because it really will depend on how active you are, how much you sweat during the day. So for some of you may have like a tolerance for one of the electrolytes. Some of you may not have the tolerance, less of a tolerance. And basically, when you start with somewhere in the middle, you're gonna dial each one of them either down or up, depending on what your body can tolerate. So First one is sodium. That's the biggest one. This is the one we tap into first thing in the morning. And the minimum dosage for sodium when you're doing intermittent fasting is between 1,600 to 2,000 milligrams per day.
Hmm.
And you should be roughly at around 3 to 4,000. And this is for like an active person. This is for somebody that's doing extended periods. So
Yes.
for if you're not super active, if you just do 14 hours, you don't need to be close to that number. 2,000, between 2 to 3,000 would probably be okay. But again, try it, see how your body handles it. The numbers are the numbers. A lot of people would go and buy like supplements like sodium. We don't. We simply use. So now I'm going to translate it into sort of like a day-to-day usage. For us, we use salt, and I believe
Yes.
Joanna, you have
Yes,
some
I have
salts
it.
with you.
We have the Celtic salt. We use, sorry, guys, we use Celtic salt,
Okay.
and we used Baja. So each one of these, and I'll tell you guys how much, 1/4 of a teaspoon has about 500 milligrams.
There you go.
Okay.
So
So
how would you?
basically,
So how would you use it? So I mentioned 2,000. So that's 500. So if you simply just as you start your day, right,
yeah.
without paying like close attention to the numbers. So if you add half of the teaspoon, right, into
Yep.
your like glass of
One,
water, just drink it in the
yeah,
morning, and
that's a
then
thousand.
that's 1,000.
Yes, because 1/4 of a teaspoon
Oh,
is 500 about.
even better. So depending
Yeah.
on how salty you like your stuff, but like quarter of the tea. So I would use half, let's say, for the sake of
Yeah.
argument conversation. I would do half of the teaspoon in the morning, put it in my water, just drink it. Salty water, that's all cold in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you can put half of it in, like, we usually fill our water bottles in the morning, put another quarter. So you're already, you can see how that number, like 2,000, it's relatively easy because even if you're on your regular window, you're still going to eat, you're still going to get your sodium from food.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of what it translates into. Do you want to add anything on sodium?
No, I think this is the easiest one to add.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. It helps with headaches. I even give it to my kids in the morning. If they wake up in the morning and they feel like, oh, I wake up with a
Right.
headache. Yeah, yeah, I actually take 8 ounce glass of water and just
Yeah.
sprinkle a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
Um, they may complain about it, but you can't really taste it much at all. But they just complain about it because they know that there's salt there.
Yeah,
Um,
true. You can if you take a pinch of salt and just add it to your water, cold glass, and you just drink it. I drink it straight up, just a whole glass. I know you just kind of sip it in the morning as you're doing preparation with the kids.
yep.
But that's really it. And I got to tell you, it helps with headaches. You feel different. It's almost like if you are trying. This is something I should probably look into. I have my coffee really early in the day, but I think I should switch. I should delay my coffee and just go with the sodium in the morning because if you have that glass, those minerals actually give you like a nice kick. So if
Yeah.
you're doing exercise or walking in the morning or whatever, have the glass with the salt, and then have your coffee if you can.
And
Um,
I just want to mention one more thing, sorry. And you
yeah,
don't have to mix it in your salt. For instance, my mom, she just takes like a nice big pinch of it, puts it on her tongue, and then she drinks it with water. That's how she likes it. She likes
yeah,
the taste of the salt, you know?
yeah.
So try different ways.
Yeah.
One of
Some
them will
people are
definitely be
better.
the best. Mhm.
Some people are better with salt. Some people are not. It's like hot food versus non-hot food.
Yeah,
Or so yeah. Okay. Sodium. I think we're done. Can we move on to potassium?
yeah.
All right. So potassium. I think some people are going to ask, and it's really a preference, and it's really what your body can handle. Some of you guys can take the potassium. The number is 350 milligrams total per day. This is potassium is the one that's responsible for like the muscle cramps and the headaches. Um, so potassium 350 milligrams is sort of like the safety zone. Some people can handle more. You're actually going to see that FDA is actually controlling potassium because potassium can hurt some people. It can have an effect on your cardio performance. So FDA is actually dialing those numbers. So when you take supplements, they usually come with like lower dosage.
Yeah.
350 is the recommended thing. Some people do twice a day, or they split it into like three. But you can do it twice a day and just do like 175, around, let's say 150, 200 milligrams per day. And if you are gonna overdo it with potassium, um, the first thing that you're gonna notice is that you may run into some gut issues. So this
Mhm.
is the constipation, this is the diarrheas, this is the flag that you're gonna see immediately. So if you're 400 milligrams, 600, like, you may actually run into your gut issues eventually.
Yeah.
Anything else on potassium that you wanted to add?
Well, I do want to say, it, if potassium will help you, I believe, with cramps, right? Doesn't it help you with cramping
Yeah,
up
yeah, muscle
muscles?
cramps and headaches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So definitely, if you are exercising and fasting and experiencing cramps, you will cramp up. For instance, I just did last week, I did a 44-hour fast, and I completely forgot about electrolytes. I didn't take them. And even till today's Saturday, my my toes are cramping up, and
yeah.
my legs, which is completely not normal for me. But that is because I used everything that I had in reserves, and my body's trying to catch up.
Yeah. The next one, and I just, what, I was just thinking, for and because some people take it in forms of like a supplement, but
Mhm.
some may choose to eat vegetables, right, that are high
Yeah,
in potassium, right? The first one that comes to mind is tomatoes for whatever reason, but like, but you can fix it, not sort of synthetically. You can fix it more naturally. So if you already know which vegetables, just up the dosage. But that's really what it is. So I think we're okay with potassium. The next one here is magnesium, and magnesium is the magic number for magnesium is 500 milligrams. What is magnesium responsible for? Like, I think of three things. It's like DNA repair is a big deal, energy production, and then sleep. A lot of people I know have the preference of taking magnesium before bedtime because
yeah,
it helps them with relax and helps them with the quality of sleep. And 500 milligrams is the dose.
yeah.
So so now we've covered sort of and I think we missed one. A lot of people always say, "What about calcium?" So calcium is one of those where I guess it's preferred if you take it in form of food, or with food. Because that's the one where it gets kind of tricky. When you supplement it, you may run into some issues, constipations, and like it gets really bad. So it's not on that top in the sort of holy trinity.
Yeah.
It's the one that you kind of should remember, but not a core one. But I know that question comes up a lot. So we've talked about sodium, potassium, magnesium. We said with sodium we do salt. That's the easiest
Mhm.
fix, right? You already showed an example. But
Yeah.
for sodium and potassium, I want to switch gears here, and here's a quick look. Let's look at the. I'm gonna show you the products because this is what we get from Amazon. Some of them we just buy whenever we need them. Some of them are set up as subscriptions, so they just automatically come. And this is the Celtic salt, the sea salt, which is what Joanna was showing earlier. So that's one of them. That's Baja salt. That's the second product that she was showing. That we use that more for like food and cooking, and we don't use that much for drinking. Not that you can't. It's just the other
Mhm.
one for us works better. But you may find out that maybe this is
This
a
one's
better
better. Yeah.
product. But they're both great. Um, when it comes to like mixing supplements, all sort of like all-in-one solution, we're using a product called Element, and I have a box next to me. That's what we're doing. Like when things get a little rougher for me, for example, I usually mix in one of the pockets in the water. I know Joanna is using it when she travels because it
Mhm.
helps her just kind of deal with with the aches and pains of traveling. So we use this mix. This one comes. It's 12. I believe it's 12. Where am I? Yeah, 12 count.
Mhm.
So each box has four different flavors. Three out of each. So that's a mix we use. But recently we have been looking. Well, we want to try.
Mhm.
We want to try one of these, and the reason is there's some additional flavors that you guys will see, like the grapefruit, the mango chili, and
The raw, I think raw.
yeah, the raw, which I'm gonna point to in a second. But the chocolate salt, I'm sure some ladies are gonna be attracted to this one. And raw unflavored, I actually, so this is the pack that we want to try because we want to try the flavors and the raw. But Joanna very often was running into problems where when she was intermittent fasting, she couldn't use elements because of the flavors and the artificial sugars. It was actually
Mhm.
bumping her glucose in her blood. So she's gonna try the raw unfiltered. We're hearing that people are having a lot of success with that. And I noticed on Amazon there's an actually zero sugar electrolytes, raw unflavored. It's just a pack of I don't know 30 count, right?
Yeah.
So if you're fasting and you have a problem with element, that's I found it the easiest way because I don't have to think about numbers or whatever. It's like recommended thing is two a day when you're fasting without affecting you by giving you enough of minerals. So think of it this way. Let's say you wanted to do a 24-hour fast or like go the entire day without it. You can just have one. You can have one for like each, like as almost as a
It's
meal
real. Yeah.
substitute, right?
Mhm.
Because it'll give you enough of boost around the time when your body is craving food. You get kind of hungry, that sensation. Your hormones, right, are being released. I'm talking about leptin and ghrelin, and this would help you a lot. So that is it. This is what we use, and I think the next thing was we've mentioned that. Well, I'll actually stop here. Did you want to add anything to what I just covered?
No, no, that is it. Just please do remember if you are trying to fast for a longer fast and you're gonna grab one of these, whatever electrolytes you end up taking, but if it does have any additional flavors, artificial sugars, or anything else in it, do yourself a favor and test before using it, because you wouldn't want to almost break your 24 36 hour fast not knowing that something is going to bump up your sugar and you take you out of fasting. So always test, like I always say, always test if you
Yeah.
can.
And how do we test? With we use Keto Mojo. If you haven't seen us talk about Keto Mojo meters,
Yeah.
that's what we use. We have a lot of success with that. And the next thing, kind of in conclusion, maybe, is at the very beginning we said the numbers may vary, right? Because depending on how active you are and what you do during the day and how your body is, what are the sort of questions you should be asking yourself when you're considering taking electrolytes and you're trying to figure out, right, how many of electrolytes
Mhm.
you would need? So here are the questions. First one was how long is your window? Obviously, the longer the window, the more you push yourself. You're gonna need more electrolytes. You're gonna need to supplement more. So that's really important. If you're just at the beginning of the journey and you're just eating, let's say, your window is 14 hours or even 15 or 16, you may need less. If you're pushing your fast to like 12, not 12, 16, 18, 20, 24, and beyond, obviously you're going to need more. So that's one thing. The other one is how active you are. And active could mean two different things. So you may be exercising, but also if you're a mom on the go and handling kids and running around all the time, it's the same thing. So it's all about energy burn and supplementing that. So that's the
Mhm.
question of exercise and activity. The third one is do you eat electrolytes in your eating window? because it really depends. Some people, when we calculate how many calories we need for the daily burn, right? Even if we fit them within a certain window, it really depends on what you eat. Because calorie is a calorie, right? So if let's say you're during your window, all you're eating is I don't know, 2,000 calories worth of pasta, you may be deficient in some electrolytes. This is somebody just eating tomatoes during that window. So if you have a good mix of foods during your windows, obviously you're going to need less electrolytes. But there is a lot of people that are sort of just kind of used to eating same meals. Most of the people are in that groups. And if you're eating same meals and if they're not super rich in electrolytes, obviously you're going to need to supplement more. Um, and then how are you handling electrolytes? So let's say you feel like you need to supplement, you're gonna add them, and then again you have to listen to your body. Same thing as like Joanna preaches about, like measure. Just make sure you measure. Same thing here. It's like observe and just kind of see how your body is reacting. If you are observing changes, if you're having diarrhea for a third day in a row, you should reconsider kind of dialing numbers back, the sliders with different electrolytes. And then the fourth one or the fifth one, that's an obvious one, but a lot of people need to be reminded. What's your medical condition? Are you taking medication? So if there's anything that's sort of like an impediment, something you're thinking about, if you feel like you have a question, it's probably worth checking with your doctor.
Yeah.
That's what we always preach. So if it's questionable, work with him and or her, and just kind of figure out what's good for you. It's always a good idea to test your blood, to just once or twice a year at least, and just make sure that you're not off. That was it in terms of questions. I know, and on ending on that point, like what happens? What are the symptoms of you taking too many electrolytes? Do you want me to cover, or do you want to go through it?
Oh, I'll do it. So again, because you are trying this out, you don't know if the right dosage. This is You're testing it out. You might be actually taking too much. So part of taking too much, you might, of course, get diarrhea. Like with anything, your stomach will react and want to get it out of your body. Stomach pain, you might feel cramps and just bloating. You'll feel definitely off. Nausea, vomiting, swollen ankles and fingers. These are all parts of these cells not being able to regulate because now you put too much of the sodium in there. Please keep in mind that it's always a balance. If you're taking it because you're feeling off, and then you're adding on even more symptoms onto you just feeling off, then obviously those electrolytes are too much for you. And at that point, I would kind of stop your electrolytes and go into this phase of just adding the salt for a couple days. Once you figure out how you feel with the salt, just maybe add a little bit of potassium in there. um, but I feel like that one packet of element that we use is enough and shouldn't affect anybody.
Yeah, I
So.
totally agree. Out of that list, have you ever experienced like taking too many electrolytes? Did you have a like issue with from that list you just
No.
mentioned? For me, I know for me, swollen ankles and fingers, big deal.
Mhm.
Because if I go over, same as bloating. I would have an issue with that. The rest, not really. No nausea, no vomiting, no stomach pains, no diarrhea, really. So yeah, so that is it. That list is covered. The question that I had that people commonly ask is, will it break your fast when let's say they up their dosage of electrolytes? Will it break their fast?
Hmm. So again, like we say, anything with sugar in it, like
Yeah.
Gatorade, definitely breaks your fast and spikes your sugar.
Can you,
Coconut.
can
Uh-huh.
you stop there, please? Because Gatorade is an evil of all evils. I know it's Do I want to go back there? History of Gatorade. So Gatorade, in its original form, when it was developed for college, I think it was developed by one of the coaches in one of the college teams. It was actually the original version. It was all true. It was all focused on electrolytes, but it tasted nasty. Like it was actually improving measured performance for football for athletes. So there, it's really wasn't questionable. The problem with Gatorade, it couldn't be distributed to masses because it tasted like, I'm not gonna say you know what, but it was just nasty. So
Yeah.
the only way to do it, you know what the magic trick is: add sugar to anything, and it'll turn it into something that market can absorb. So Gatorade is bad for you. I know a lot of people believe that want to associate themselves with athletes by drinking Gatorade, but it has a lot of sugar. I would stay away. So electrolytes, true, it's there. It's just not what is advised when you're intermittent fasting. You're
Yeah.
drinking Gatorade. We have nothing against it. We're just against it because it's not productive for the goal we're trying to achieve, which is fasting.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. What's the next thing on your list?
Along with that, there is a Gatorade that is Gatorade Zero, which
Hmm.
supposedly doesn't have any sugar. It
Okay.
does have artificial sugar, but again, like anything,
Yeah.
artificial sugars, depending which one is used and how it affects your body.
Yeah.
Always test. Coconut water. Yes, coconut water is great. It has the electrolytes. It has a lot of other benefits to it, definitely. But that's something that you want to drink within your eating window because it will break your fast.
Yep.
Then yeah,
An element for you. I
yeah,
mentioned that earlier. So because I know we preach about element all the time because it's super easy.
yeah,
But the flavored one, for me, it doesn't have as much of an impact. For you, it does have an impact. Again, measure. Um, and I think that is it.
that is it. Yeah.
So before we conclude, super exciting for the this episode will be launching on January 16th, Thursday.
Mhm.
Obviously we're recording on the Saturday before, but I know on the 20th you guys should be on the lookout. There's something exciting. Joanna will be sharing all the details on her personal profile, so if you're interested, but she's gonna be putting together like a little help offer thing for anybody that's kind of like interested in following in joining sort of like a program, and if you have a goal of whatever the amount of pounds is that you're trying to lose, we will be announcing the details the week of the 20th, correct? So it's not
Correct.
next week, it's the week after.
Yes. Yes.
All right,
We'll
cool.
we'll we'll get you guys something interesting, so we can get you on this goal of losing weight and being healthier at the same time.
Very cool. Okay, that is it for today. So electrolytes was the subject of the game today. Look into them. Oh, Alexa is kicking in the back. All right, that was it from us today. Have a great Thursday, and see you next time.
See you. Keep
All right,
fasting, my friends.
bye.
Bye.